success doesn't always feel like success when you're the one living it. Do you know what I mean? Like, am I telling you something that you don't already know? Or that you do already know? Sorry, that's so obvious to you that it's just like, duh? You can have the corner office, you can have the impressive title, the financial freedom, and you can still wake up wondering, is this it? Is this really it? Is this all there is? The emptiness creeps in despite checking all the boxes that society told you would bring you happiness and fulfillment. And yet, working harder doesn't lead you there. Achieving more doesn't make you happier. Not that it doesn't make you happier in the moment, but it doesn't automatically make you happier. Having the perfect career or the perfect looking life doesn't fix things, doesn't mean your personal life is perfect. You know, I've spent years coaching hundreds of high achievers, CEOs, entrepreneurs, professionals, most of them at the top of their fields. Like, they're in the top, you know, the bell curve, they're in the top like 5%. And there's a pattern. These incredibly accomplished people often struggle with the same core issues behind closed doors. These very traits that help them succeed are often the same ones that cause them to struggle in their personal lives. They're winning on paper, but they're feeling empty and hollow. They've mastered the external game. I mean, they almost had it mastered in their 20s, and then they've been just repeating it over and over and over, and now they've got more than they know what to do with. They're still feeling the same emptiness, but now it's more intense because it's accumulated over the course of the last 20, 30 years. Bigger, deeper. There's more longing. So today, I'm gonna share the 7 most common patterns that I've seen with high achievers and some practical solutions. Now, these aren't necessarily going to solve everything for you. There aren't really easy solutions, but they're things you can try to put and implement into your life and try on. And sometimes they'll give you a boost and sometimes they won't. But let's get into it. So the first one, something I call the imposter syndrome trap. No matter what you do, you feel like you're faking it, even with mountains of evidence that you're not faking it. I mean, it happens regardless of how many achievements you've collected or they've collected. Even when others see you as extremely capable and competent, the inner voice just keeps saying, you just got lucky, dude. You're about to be found out. You got lucky up until now. Why does this happen? Well, oftentimes it's related to stories that were foundational in the formation of your ego from an early age, and they're related to high achievement and worth. They come from family, they come from society, they come from culture, they come from everywhere. Like in the world we live in, we're inundated with it. Success raises the bar, makes it a moving target that you can never quite reach. Now, some ways to break free from this. One idea, keep a wins journal. So instead of a gratitude journal, gratitude journals are great, but you could also keep a wins journal. So at the end of the day, each day, document wins. What went well today? Your mind tends to fixate on things that didn't go well. What went well? What worked? And if you want to ramp it up even more, share this with somebody else. Share what's working for you and what you're doing with someone else. Another thing you can do is you can practice validating yourself by acknowledging your efforts, even if things don't go perfectly. You know, feeling uncertain doesn't mean you're unqualified. Feeling uncertain is just part of the game. We're all in it. All right. Number 2, the fulfillment paradox. This is when you chase success, expecting success to bring fulfillment. But guess what? It almost never does. You hit your targets, you reach your goals, you experience brief satisfaction, and then guess what? It's empty. There's nothing there. You know, it used to bring a week of happiness, of joy, you know, hitting your target. And then it was a day, and then it was an hour, and now it's 10 minutes pursuing happiness on and on and on and on and on and into the future. Achievements pile up while the meaning remains elusive. And what's the root cause of that? Well, externally defined success. Success comes from out there somewhere, not in here. Success is something you have to go get. It's part of the outside-in orientation. It's backwards. Our culture celebrates achievement over contentment. And so our brain has a hedonic adaptation. It means we quickly return to baseline after these wins, and we only then get our rocks off by getting the next win. So we have to link win after win after win after win, instead of finding authentic fulfillment by identifying activities that bring you into a state of flow, where time disappears when you're not focused on the outcome. You're focused on the process, the journey. So what can you do? Connect to your work, your personal values, and your larger purpose. Schedule regular time for non non-achievement activities. Do you even remember what that means? Where you're not focused on efficiency, you're not focused on productivity, you're not focused on accomplishing something or winning something or performing something. You're just doing it because it brings you joy, that you enjoy it. What brings you pleasure? Do you even know? Ask yourself the question. All right, number 3, the relationship disconnect. This is when your drive can undermine, work becomes a priority. It's the only priority. It's the only reason everything else revolves around it. And guess what? Your emotional availability, it gets in the way. You don't want to be emotionally available because it creates mental bandwidth that gets in the way of you achieving your goals and your work. And guess who takes that on the chin? Your number one most important relationship with your spouse or your most significant other. But any other partner or family members, they feel like they're just dingleberries. I mean, they're competing for your attention with work. These are hidden patterns. When you find that you're always distracted by email, or you're always thinking about work, even when you're sitting at home eating dinner with your family, you've fallen into the habit of avoiding emotional intimacy and vulnerability with work. And let me tell you something. This will, if it hasn't already, this is messing up your life. It's like a train wreck, a slow-moving train wreck. If you're identifying it, it's not too late. Here's another hidden pattern: applying strategies that you would use at work to solve things to personal relationships. I mean, look, there's some that work, creating agreements, but it's a bad idea to use things that you would do at work to fix problems you might be experiencing at home. So what do you do to rebuild connection? Number 1, you've got to not just create clear boundaries between work time and relationship time, you've got to honor them. Because see, these are things you already know. I'm not telling you something you don't know. You just have to be willing. Like, you've got to muster up the discipline to honor the boundaries that you say are important. But guess what you have to do? Practice active listening without trying to fix something or solve a problem. You've probably heard that before, because if you're anything like me, you think from the context of solve a problem. That very often is the last thing somebody wants you to do. Your spouse especially wants you to do. Your kids want them to do. They just want you to hear them and listen. Another thing you can do, schedule relationship time to have meaningful conversations. I do that with my son. Once a week, we have a meeting on Saturday. Now, we don't always have it, but I have a whole agenda, a whole schedule of things that I talk to him about. If I have an idea of something I want to talk to him about, I write it down. Another thing you can do is develop a ritual of connection that happens regardless of what's going on at work. One of ours in our family is dinner time. If we're really operating at our best, we're doing highs and lows. I share my highs of the day and the lows of the day, or my one high and one low, and then we go around the table. Okay, let's move on to number 4, the self-worth equation. This is when you tie your self-worth entirely on your work and achievements. Now, these are weaving in and out of each other, right? Hard to separate. They come together. But in situations like this, when you have a bad outcome with a project at work, you feel like a personal failure. I went through this with my business. I felt like I was a failure it took me a couple of years to get through this. I felt like the failure of my business, which wasn't really even a failure, was a failure of mine. Another in this area, criticism of work feels like criticism of you, of yourself. So guess what? You become defensive, you become angry, you become resistant to wanting to hear it. Your identity becomes merged with your profession. That who am I becomes what do I do? You don't even have an answer for who am I. All of this creates suffering. Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Suffering is your resistance to the acceptance of reality the way it is. It's when you want something other than what is. This all creates massive need for external validation. And it makes rest and relaxation impossible. You feel undeserving of it, and it creates and provokes anxiety because you always think there's something you should be doing, and guess what it also does then? Leads to burnout. As self-care gets sacrificed for productivity, of course. Be more efficient at whatever you do, even if it's brushing your teeth, or doing your lunch, or making your coffee and making your lunch, whatever the heck it is. So one of the things you need to do in order to kind of combat this is recognize that your value as a human exists separate from your output. Now, okay, duh, of course, but it's true. So in order to do that, you've got to slow down, or you've got to be willing to slow down. See, this video is really for people who have had it with the way things are. They're tired of the way things are and they want to do something differently. If you don't want to do something differently, nothing's going to change. So yeah, I know it's easy to say that your value as a human exists separate from your output, but you've got to be willing to slow yourself down so that you can see that. You can experience that. You can actually have compassion for yourself. And then you've got to have the willingness to nurture relationships and interests that have nothing to do with achievement. That's another really hard one for us type A high achievers. Another thing you can do, this is one of the things that I coach people with all the time, is practice asking for help and receiving it. Receiving help, receiving care and love without feeling like you need to reciprocate or earn it. All right, let's move on. Praising resistance. This is when you struggle to accept compliments and you minimize your accomplishments and you deflect praise with self-deprecation. You always focus on what could have been better rather than what went well. You believe that acknowledging success equals arrogance. You probably, if you operate this way, you probably believe that you need to be your own harshest critic in order to learn and to grow. Imagine if you're a parent and you believe that with your kids, and all you did from the moment they screwed something up, which they invariably do when they're a year old or 2 years old or 3 years old, is told them how wrong they were. Criticized their actions. Wouldn't go so well. Think about that for you. So for you, practice saying thank you when complimented. Practice receiving. Here's an idea. When you get positive feedback, write it down. Keep a positive feedback journal. When somebody says something nice about you, write it down. Go back to it and read it. Remember that acknowledging your strengths helps you to leverage them better, not acknowledging your weaknesses. What you put your attention on magnifies and grows. Don't put your attention on your weaknesses. Put them on your strengths. All right, number 6, present moment blindness. This is when you push hard but rarely pause to enjoy the journey. You're always focused on the next thing. You're never celebrating the current thing. You're never in the present. All you do is what's coming? What's next? Okay, that was great, but what's next? You're missing life's meaningful moments. The joy in the moment. I mean, the crazy thing about that is there's no such thing as the future or the past because they exist in your head and now, in the present. That's a whole nother video. You know, you're missing life's meaningful moments while you're planning the future achievements and you're living in a constant state of not yet enough. What happens as a result? You create this pit of this deficit of happiness that no future achievement can fill. You're making withdrawals from your account and never refilling them with deposits. Well, you are, but the deposits aren't ever big enough to fill the withdrawals you're making. You start to feel a sense of life passing you by without being fully lived, diminishing your creativity. I mean, what do you got to do about this? Mindfulness. Mindfulness helps an awful lot. What is mindfulness? Well, paying attention. I said this before, slowing down. A lot of these overlap. Journaling and meditation, and even if it's just stopping for breathing breaks once an hour, where you turn off, shut your laptop screen, close your eyes, and take 10 deep breaths. It'll take you about 2.5 minutes. Another thing you can do is to create rituals to mark achievements before moving on to the next goal. Come home and celebrate! Celebrate with your family, celebrate with your wife, celebrate with your kids, celebrate with somebody that's really important to you, with a best friend. Another thing you could do is schedule regular white space with no agenda. Are you a time blocker? High productivity, you gotta fill every spot with something? Create a spot with nothing and honor it. It takes practice. These are muscles you gotta build. All right, and number 7, the vulnerability avoidance. These are people that struggle to trust, relax, and open up authentically. Vulnerability is a weakness to you if you believe this. The image you have that you maintain of yourself is you have everything under control, even though inside you know you don't. And you avoid asking for help even if you're drowning. Keep conversations at surface level. Don't let anybody else know what's going on with you. You spend a weekend with your best friends, you learn everything about what's going on in their life, and you never share anything about what's going on in yours. You don't reveal anything that you're uncertain about because you believe that your vulnerability equals weakness. Revealing struggles will diminish others' confidence in you. So what can you do about this? Find one person that you trust where you can practice being vulnerable. Practice. It's a low risk. Someone you think is going to be receptive. And you can practice sharing just one little thing about your life that you ordinarily wouldn't share. You can say, God, this makes me really uncomfortable, but I want to share something with you that is important to me that I've never shared before. Another thing, you can find other people that are facing similar challenges that operate this way. Practice asking for help. You're not alone. Look out for other people that are in the same boat that you are. Remember that your struggles make you relatable and strong when you're willing to share them. They don't make you weak. So I've covered a lot in this video. Hopefully you've stuck with me. You know, I've worked with hundreds of people on this stuff. So if you've got one of those traits, you've probably got all of them to some degree. And transformation comes not from adding more stuff to your life. It comes from removing the barriers to what's already within you. See, the answers are already inside of you. I know this because when I started this work, I was in the same place you are if you're listening to this video. I was caught in the same trap. I was doing everything I could to make everything look perfect from the outside, but inside I was a mess. So here's the thing. If what I've shared with you today resonates and you're ready to move from achievement to fulfillment, I want to invite you to consider what might be the next step for you. The transformation you're looking for doesn't require years. It did for me, but I've got a lot of this stuff wired and I know the shortcuts. I mean, they're not shortcuts, but they are shortcuts because I can point to them really easily. Many of my clients experience significant shifts within just 3 months of practice and working together. Remember, the same determination that made you successful can be redirected toward creating a life of genuine meaning and connection. You've just got to take that attention that you've placed on succeeding and put it on your desire to create a fulfilling life for yourself. And I can help you do that if you want my help. So listen, thanks so much for watching. If you want help growing internally, you feel stuck, perhaps feel a lack of fulfillment, perhaps if you're this far along, maybe you do, pretty sure you do, then book a call. Check below. There's a link. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on Instagram. I'm at Andy Petronic. Best place to find me. And until next time, go ahead and love yourself. You deserve it.